recording. Okay, so now we're also recording, so that means YouTube is going to get a lossless version. Let me open up the story. It's only 5 kilobytes long, so shouldn't be bad. Well, if you happen to hop in during my narration, be free to say hello. I'm a writer, that's why there's the writer tag in here. Let's begin. The Tragedy of Aether. Before Tragedy. Chapter 3. After Fleet and Fulgari began their journey together to stop the 1,000-year tragedy before it begins, the two begin wandering the lands of Aether, searching for the site of the ritual. Unfortunately, they can't seem to find it yet, but they do happen to arrive at the fire capital. They walked the crowded streets to look around, and they come across a cemetery covered in abyssal growths. Looks like we have a place to cleanse, Fulgari sighed. Stepping through the gate of the cemetery, Fleet follows him inside, and they witness abyssal creatures rising from the soil. Why did the Abyss choose this area? Fleet asked, grabbing an arrow from her quiver and readying her bow. We've no time for small talk, the wolf growled. We have things to destroy. As the abyssal creatures began to take shape, it seems as if they're trying to resemble those that are deceased and buried, but in a zombified way. They begin to slowly walk towards their targets with a slight limp, and Fleet begins firing arrows at them, killing a few of them while Fulgari goes to town on them, striking them mercilessly with his whip called Abyss Killer. That's embarrassing. With every dying abyssal creature, the growths in and around the cemetery begin to disappear. At first, there weren't many abyssal zombies on the battlefield, but after they were all destroyed, the wolf and the vixen are greeted with another problem.
Care to tell me what you two are doing at this cemetery?
The last creature asked Fulgari and Fleet. This creature looked as if it were wearing dark robes, resembled a skeleton of a panther, and possessed the power of necromancy. We're here to cleanse it, Fulgari replied, and we're also destined to destroy Dreguidor, Fleet added. The abyssal necromancer laughed in an evil, whispery voice before sinking into the ground, only to emerge with a massive ball of abyssal bones, muscle, and flesh around him. The two heroes were surprised that this creature possessed such power. Right, Fleet. You fire your arrows at the mass while I try and find a way to destroy it, the wolf ordered. The necromancer is at the core of this mass, and the sooner we get to the core, the better. Once given the order to concentrate her fire on the abyssal mass, Fleet begins to fire 2 arrows at a time at the mass. In response, a few bodies drop from it and begin slowly walking towards their targets, but Fulgari struck them with his whip. When the abyssal zombies stopped dropping from the mass for a moment, the wolf hopped up on the cemetery's front wall and swung across to a tree with his whip, while his vixen ally keeps firing. This will most certainly remove a chunk from it, Fulgari smiled valiantly before releasing a beam of light from his paw. The light pierced through the mass and nearly hit the necromancer who resides in the center of it. However, the light destroyed half of its meat shield, leaving the front exposed. "Got you," Fleet spoke, grabbing one last arrow from her quiver and readying it. But she was stunned by a thin beam of darkness that the abyssal necromancer casted, knocking her off of her feet. She couldn't move for a moment, and she thought that this was the end of the line for her, but miraculously, her whip-wielding ally hopped down from the tree, dashed in front of her, and struck the creature's head with a powerful, enlightened whip strike. The creature cried out in pain and began to disappear into nothing, with the remaining pieces of the meat shield breaking off and disappearing into thin air shortly after. It was then that the gravekeeper stepped out from hiding. "Thank you both so much," he thanked the duo. "Now that the cemetery has been purified, it is safe to visit once more, and I can proceed with my work." "Oh, no problem," Fulgari replied. "We're on a mission to stop the 1,000-year culling before it begins, and this place needed cleansing." "Well, be careful out there." The gravekeeper wished them good luck, waving them goodbye as the two made their exit. The two proceed to walk down the streets of stone, looking for anywhere else that may be a potential ritual site, but so far they found nothing. However, Fulgari looked at the sky and saw a cloud of ash rising into the air. What could this source be? Could that also be where the ritual takes place? Only time and prayers will tell. Well, chat, thoughts? I will admit that, it needs fixing up. There are some bits of it where it's like weird.